Welcome to the Via Stoica podcast. This is the Stoic Quotes edition. Today we're going to look at a quote from Seneca from his essay On Providence, using this book. It's Dialogues and Essays, translation by John Davy. And this quote today is one that I tend to use a lot for myself, especially when I'm dealing with obstacles, when I'm facing tests, if you will. And Seneca mentions that exactly in this, not in this quote, but just after that, we'll look into that as well. But first, if you're looking for more quotes, if you're looking for more inspiration, you can go to viastoica.com, where we have all the quotes if you want to read more, if you're looking for some inspiration, if you want to create your own handbook like Arian did after his teachings with Epictetus. Just go there, find some that inspire you, and you can just gather them for your reference when you need them. But also, if you want some coaching, if you're listening to these quotes, you say, hey, that's really nice, but how can that really help me? You can go and book a free consultation, and you can talk to me or any other coaches, and we can see how we can implement these lessons, this wisdom into your life in a practical way, right? Because that's really what we want to have. But let's dive right into the quote. So this is somewhat at the beginning of the essay, point 4 in this translation on Providence. And the quote goes like this: "You are unfortunate in my judgment, for you have never been unfortunate. You have passed through life with no antagonist to face you. No one will know what you are capable of, not even yourself." And he goes on a little bit, and I want to add this as well. He says, "For a man needs to be put to the test if he is to gain self-knowledge. Only by trying does he learn what his capacities are." And I think that the part of self-knowledge is really important as well. And it shows the Socratic foundation of Stoicism, where Socrates really hones in as like, know yourself, investigate it. He says like the unexamined life isn't worth living. And Seneca really shows us here that the tests, all the obstacles that we go through are so key and crucial to us in our development, but also in that self-knowledge, right? If we want to learn what our limits are, how far we can go, what we can really deal with, then we need to have struggle. We need to have the friction. We need to have these obstacles to learn, like, okay, this is my limit. If we look at an athlete, right, and the Stoics, especially if you look at Epictetus, they love to use this example of athletes. They want to face the opponent that they think is better than them, or they want to have those challenges. They want to push themselves to the limits. And so many people go through life without even trying to avoid these obstacles, right? And the more you try to avoid them, the more they find you, because you become more fragile, you become more sensitive to the things that don't go the way you want them to go. And I think that that's key in life. We need to face the things. And when we see these obstacles, and that's where the Stoics turn this mindset shift. They say, okay, this is an obstacle, but this is exactly what I need. This is exactly the test that I need to make sure that, hey, this is what I'm capable of. This is what I know. And also the things that, I'm not ready to face yet, or where I do struggle and where I do need support, because we have to remember that we are not omnipotent. We can't do everything. Sometimes we do need support, and we do need help from those around us. That's why we are social beings. It's not just that we help others only, but we also need to be able to receive help from others. That's something that I struggle with, and I'm trying to get better at. But when we have those obstacles, they really show us what we can and what we can't do. And then we can say, okay, this is something that I can't do. I cannot ask for help, or let me learn, let me try, let me build, let me improve myself. And these are the things that I can do. It's like, wow, I didn't know that. So then we gain that self-knowledge. And that's why these obstacles are incredibly important. And that's why this quote, when Seneca says that are unfortunate because you've never been unfortunate. And again, unfortunate in this sense means that especially when we look at Epictetus, is not getting what we want, right? Not getting our desires fulfilled, or falling into aversions, having the things happen that we wish to avoid. But if we learn to accept fate, then we can never be unfortunate, because we will accept whatever comes. Yet there will be difficult things, right? We are no sages. We don't see everything with that pure reason or logic that the sage sees, like, hey, this isn't bad, this isn't good, this is just what it is, and let me do the virtuous, moral, right thing. But in the sense that we are struggling, we can learn, right? We can adapt, we can grow from it. So in that sense, we can change the way we view the things that are happening. If we label something as unfortunate or bad, we can say, wait a minute, let me step back. Let me see what this really is. Maybe this is the test that I need to see where I am, where I need to improve, where I need to advance, or maybe I'm already there. Maybe I didn't think that I was capable of dealing with this, but yet here I am, right? I am. And again, we see Seneca talking about this and many other things. In one of his letters to Lucilius, he says we suffer more often in imagination than we do in reality. Many times we think about things that are bad, that we can't face them, but we underestimate ourselves. We need to have that confidence that we can deal with so many more things. We can use our own reflection, our own past, and see all the obstacles that if we can still remember us heading into them, thinking like, oh, this is something that's too terrible. This is going to crush me, right? As Seneca says as well in some of his letters. And then when we actually meet the obstacles, we are able to face them with some help or just by ourselves, but we are able to face them. Think about those moments when you are facing something new and something new is coming on your way. Maybe you think it might, but it's never going to come. So whatever we see as an unfortunate thing, or whatever we see as an adverse thing to avoid, or the obstacles, Marcus Aurelius says the obstacle is the way. Why? Because that shows you who you are. What is truly important in life is to gain that self-knowledge, to have a deep understanding of who we are. And how can we do that better? Is by facing those adversaries. The same thing with tools, right? How do you know a hammer is strong? How do you know a hammer can do what it's supposed to be doing? Is by getting a nail and getting a piece of wood and just hammering the nail in. And does it do its job? Yes. There's friction there, right? There's metal against metal, but that is what builds the hammer. That's what shows like, hey, this is what they're capable of. And that's what we've got to do with life as well. So that's why I really like this quote, and let me just go back to it one more time because I really like it, and I use it. I use it. I say I remind myself of this a lot. Not enough, I have to say, but the quote goes again: "You are unfortunate in my judgment, for you have never been unfortunate. You have passed through life with no antagonist to face you. No one will know what you were capable of, not even yourself." So remind that when you are facing an antagonist, when you are facing that obstacle. It's like, hey, this is great for me to know who I am. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy at all, right? But if you can, in those moments, make that mindset shift. It's like, okay, let me just take a step back. This is very tough that I'm going through, but let me just see how I'm dealing with this and what are my ways of finding support? What are my ways of getting through it? And again, it is difficult. I understand that. All these things are easily said. It's like, oh, just remember that you are unfortunate. But in the moment itself, it's tough. But even if you find those little pause moments where we have the newsletter, the pause, which is something that we think is really important. And in these moments, we can say, okay, wait a minute, this is a test. This is the obstacle that I'm going through. Let me just see what's really happening. Let me just see what I can learn about myself from this moment. And then the growth is there. And then a mindset shift is already happening. So, yeah, well, that's kind of the quote for this week. Thank you very much for listening. Again, if you want some more inspiration, if you want to get in touch, go to viastoica.com or listen to the other episodes, the regular ones on Friday, where we have interviews, where we have just, common reflections on things that happen in life, looking at it through a Stoic lens. And then every Friday, we have our Stoic quotes. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. If you do like what we're doing, just subscribe, give us a good rating, like these episodes, leave a comment. And if you don't agree with things that I've said, leave a comment. Let me know. We can address them. If you have other questions, put it there, and we will look into it. And maybe we make an episode of just questions and answers. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope to see you in the next one.